Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? Another paid request, this time for the B Davis 231. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, re-reviews, reviews, you'd either send it to my PayPal, which is usually the best bet, or you could join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box on under pretty much any of these videos. Now, this is for someone called Kobe Doin Work, which is on YouTube for free, and I didn't know what this was. But I guess it was done for ESPN, and as it says here, it's an 84-minute exploration of Kobe Bryant's work ethic, in-game mentality, and bluntness that made Bryant a great competitor. Directed by Spike Lee, who uses multiple cameras, sound from the in-game broadcast from the Staples Center, a microphone worn by Kobe himself, and a follow-up narration while he watches the footage to illustrate every detail of Kobe's performance, strategy, and inner thoughts. Now, people may not know, I really do like basketball. I really do. Now, sadly, I have not watched it fully in a long, long time. Just life being busy with other stuff. And then the few bits of free time I have is just either some movies or video games or something of that nature. YouTube. But I remember watching back in the day the Chicago Bulls and other basketball teams and the era of Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, John Stockton, Scottie Pippen, Larry Bird, all sorts of stuff. Even go a little bit further, a little bit of Grant Hill, a little bit of other players. I remember enjoying the Olympics when it was the Dream Team. And Charles Barkley did really good on the Dream Team when you look at. I wish there was a whole collection of all of the Dream Team games. You do find some of them on YouTube, to be fair. But I wish there was like a DVD set where I just pop in and watch the whole Dream Team. The first Dream Team, Michael Jordan. Like, even with Jordan and all these other people on the team, like, Charles Barkley did like the best. So, which was cool, because I like Charles Barkley. But like, I know of Kobe, of course, and of course Sally, the passing of him, his daughter, and other people, because there were other people as well on the helicopter, and there was a crash, and people died, and it was just very tragic, very sad. I did not follow the Lakers like a lot of people did. I knew and saw highlights of Kobe Bryant, but not full games, because again, even at that time, I wasn't watching a lot of basketball. I liked it in movies, I liked it in other aspects. It just, I love White Men Can't Jump. Among other movies, just, I can enjoy watching highlights. I love the game of basketball because I'm not a big sports guy, but basketball is so in your face and so quick and so fast. That's why you get 100 points, 102, 104, 107, because it's so quick, so fast, and there's never a dull minute. Because you got quick, 3-pointer or a dunk, or the action is intense. Although it's much more better back in the day when you were able to be a bit more physical. That's another reason why the game just doesn't seem as fun. Like, I would watch it if I could, but it was a lot more fun. It was a lot more intense and in your face, like back in the day. But yeah, this was an interesting, but I would say it's more interesting than enjoyable, if that makes sense. I mean, it was cool to see Kobe, may he rest in peace, and it's a game with the Spurs. This is about 2008. Because it's the season where the Lakers were beaten by the Celtics by the end of it. But then I think the year after, which, how do I put it? The game that they're playing, it was filmed at one point, but then it was, Kobe Bryant does a commentary, and that must have been sometime after where they were beaten by the Celtics, and it's the next season. And it's like, well, by the time I'm recording this, I just made 60 points with Spike Lee. I did Spike Lee's Knicks. And I know he's a little bit mad about that. And Spike Lee's in the room, but he only pipes up like once in a blue moon. Now, I'm not big on Spike Lee as a director. I like the movie Inside Man, but a lot of his other movies just aren't my cup of tea. And plus, some of the stuff he says, I'm like, oh my god. So now it was pretty interesting to look at a full like a game where you're seeing all these different angles that you wouldn't usually see with a game, different angles, some bits of slow mo. It was a nice visual look to follow one player throughout the whole game with all these different angles. It was interesting to have a bit of the microphone on him, so sometimes you would hear what he would say on the floor. Like, for example, when people do the free throw and they go up and they tap hands, you hear a little bit of dialogue. Halftime, you hear a little bit between the coach Phil Jackson and his team. Like, those are nice to see, and the different angles. But like I say, it was a bit more interesting than enjoyable, because like Kobe during the commentary is kind of going through, I would say, the motions. Like, he's not the most talkative guy. This is why it should have been much more of a conversation between Spike Lee and Kobe. So Kobe's saying something, and then if there's any bit of quiet, Spike Lee should have jumped in and said, well, what about this? What about that? So keep the conversation consistently going. Because there are times where it just, there is no narration, it's just him watching it. Or it's like, hey, I stole that shot from Tim Duncan. Or, oh, I should not have done that. And like it says, his in-game mentality, his work ethic. The sad thing is, they picked a game where he didn't really do that well. He got at most 20 points. Which, I mean, he's better than me. I could never get 20 points, but it's not a remarkable game. And like I said, they kind of picked the wrong game. It wasn't serendipitous. It was the wrong game. It was the wrong season. Like, if it was the game against the Knicks where he got 60 points and then went on to win the championship, as they did, that would be much more of an exciting Kobe doing work. But it's just, again, they picked a game, a moment where he really wasn't doing well. He was getting turnovers, and he says, I hate turnovers. He loses a ball here. He tries to do a pass. He screws up. He's trying to do dribbling. He screws up the dribbling. He misses some shots. And he says, well, if I miss the fifth, I'll get the sixth. If I miss the sixth, I'll get the seventh. If I miss the seventh, I know I'm going to get the eighth. So he's missing shots here and there. He does have one nice shot where he gets a three-pointer before the end of the third quarter. But I say he doesn't do the best in the game. Turnovers, not many points. So it's just not the best to showcase fully what Kobe Bryant was capable of. Now, obviously, either maybe film it on different nights and pick a night which was the best one, or like, hey, we're going to follow the guy each night, just with the cameras, don't worry about it, we're following you through this and that, and then, oh, this is the night we're going to pick. Maybe that bit. Also, the bluntness that made Kobe Bryant a great competitor. There's not really much bluntness, I think, because Kobe knew deep down he was microphone. So he would give his on the bench talk to the other players, but he probably he was not as, he might have been more vocal, or he might have been more honest, or just in the heat of a moment of a game, you curse and stuff, that you might have seen a bit more of that. And then throughout the commentary, he's very complimentary of the Spurs. Now, maybe he would do that in real life. Who knows? But part of you wonders if because he's being recorded that, oh yeah, this team is great and this is that. And he doesn't really have anything bad to say about anybody. Now, is that really blunt and true? I don't know. But like I say, it kind of... How much is the behavior sincere when you know during the game you got 30 cameras on you? Well, like I said, I'm always down for watching basketball, and so it was an easy watch. Like I say, it was interesting to see a bit of the halftime in the locker room and him talking with Phil Jackson. There's a pretty sad moment where there's a shot showing his girls saying "Daddy" for MVP, and Kobe's talking nice about his daughters and how, that's my girl and it's all about my family. It's very sad because again, it was him and his daughter, as well as other people, of course, that died in that. So it's very sad in retrospect. And then saying that this wasn't the best game to showcase it, he puts it how, well, you don't have to bid, sometimes you don't have to have bid scoring nights because I have the personnel. Which, I mean, his team was able to overcome and beat the Spurs, and he got 20 points. And he sat out for the fourth quarter. Like, that's another thing about this game, is that it's a game that he had turnovers or he messed up dribbling. He only got 20. I say only, but I'm just saying compared to other nights, 60, 50, 40, 20 points, turnovers, and he sat out for the fourth quarter because they were ahead. They wanted to let him rest, and they let the team do their business. And so he sat out for the fourth quarter. Like the whole end of the game, he sat out for it. So it ends, like the last chunk of it ends with him on the bench and Kobe Bryant talking about how later on they got beaten by the Celtics and they had bursts of energy hurt us and they were doing three-pointers. And like the stuff he says during the narration, I mean, I was kind of indifferent to it. He's talking about how, communication is important, and stuff that he would kind of say in interviews and such. How sometimes he'd get pushed, and he's like, oh, I love that. It reminds me of the 80s when they let you scratch and claw. I love it. I like that a little bit. So he's like me, missing and enjoying that era. So I like that. If you're a diehard Kobe Bryant fan and basketball fan, it's definitely worth a watch. I just don't know if you don't get a lot of depth or insight to the man. I don't think you're really going to. Like I said, for Kobe Doin Work, this is not the best in showing what Kobe Bryant is capable of. Like if he said, okay, I'm going to show this to you and show you what Kobe Bryant's all about, that's not really the case with this. If you watched only this, you'd be like, okay, he's fine, but what makes him so special? And that's the sad thing, is that I think Spike Lee did not capture the right game to show how special of a player Kobe Bryant was. And that sadly became kind of the downfall of this. Now, I didn't hate it, like I said. This Kobe Bryant's still playing basketball. They're still, at the very least, decent to see. It's just, again, it's too bad, luck, fate, whatever, didn't give Spike Lee like the great game to showcase for this ESPN thing. That's why I'm a bit surprised they didn't try to go for another game or try to go for a series of games or what have you. Again, the game they kind of mentioned against the Knicks where he got 60 points and Spike Lee saying, man, I never heard in Madison Square Garden that the crowd is shouting an MVP for the opposing team's player. I'm like, imagine if that was caught for this. Him getting 60 points, and you see Spike Lee getting more pissed, and then the crowd going, MVP, even though it's for the Lakers, not for their own team. Like, that would have made it so much more great and special, but again, fate, serendipity, however you want to put it. Like it was interesting with the 30-some cameras used, all these different angles. But yeah, too bad it's just they picked the wrong game and the wrong season to do it in. But yeah, what can you do? But it was at least a very interesting change of pace from some of the stuff I usually watch. So that was cool. And Kobe Bryant, watch highlights and you'll definitely see how he stats up very well in the pantheon of basketball players. So rest in peace to Kobe and his daughter. Rest in peace to everyone else in the helicopter crash. And damn good player. Greatly missed. So it's on YouTube. If you're at all a Kobe fan, it's at least worth a watch to hear some bits of him discussing how he was dealing with that game. Like I said, there's a lot of quiet moments. I think Spike Lee should have really kept the conversation going during any quiet moments. There's times I forget that Spike Lee was in the room with him. I'm like, wait, what was that? Oh, I forgot that he was in there. I don't know why Spike was so quiet during most of it. But with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.